Well, good afternoon and welcome to each of you to our long-delayed Hall of Fame induction ceremonies for the class of 2020 and our slightly delayed induction for the class of 2021. We did not expect quite as large a crowd as we did today with COVID, but I guess you were as excited as we are just to get out of the house and get back to some semblance of trying to be normal. So glad you're here. We're inducting a really terrific group of student athletes and honorees with our Distinguished Service and Honorary Letterman Award. And as our practice when we start, I would like to ask all of our current Hall of Fame members, those already in, to please stand and be recognized. I'd also like to recognize the work of the committee. A few committee members are here. The Hall of Fame committee, I've been on a lot of committees, but this one is one of the most difficult committees. If you are selected for induction in the Hall of Fame and pass muster of that committee, you've really done something. You're certainly deserving, because that committee takes its charge very seriously and makes sure that only the most deserving athletes and focusing only on their 4-year career at Wofford. So you could do great things afterwards, but not be in the Wofford Athletic Hall of Fame. It focuses only on what you did when you were a student athlete at Wofford. And their work is very, very difficult indeed, because there's a lot of nominees, but they are very stringent in the standards which they set. And the same goes for our special honorees, the Distinguished Service Award winner, and our honorary letterman. Those category of awards, there's a lot of people who do a lot of things for Wofford, and we wouldn't be who we are without them. But again, only the very, very select, those who do extraordinary work on behalf of the college, are selected for these honors. So, without further ado, since we have a rather large class, we're going to begin. And I will call upon our Deputy Director of Athletics, Elizabeth Radd, to talk about and induct our first inductee.
Good afternoon. Maggie's coach, Amy Kaya, could not be with us today because of a family conflict. But she did ask that I would be here to introduce Maggie because of the relationship that I built with her off the field. I was the advisor of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee when a young lady walked into my office and asked to be on the board of the committee. That was Maggie Bosley. If she was going to give her time and talent, she was going to give it at 110%. So she did serve on the board for the next 3 years as co-president. And I remember vividly, in between training sessions and double majoring in biology and chemistry, Maggie rolling into my office, sometimes still really sweaty for practice, to plan the next meeting or event. She served alongside Hall of Famers like Eric Breitenstein and Brad Losing in writing the committee's first constitution, incorporating a community service component, planning multiple events, and growing the organization to where it is today, arguably one of the best student-athlete advisory committees. But Amy also wanted you to know that she was such a talented coach, but that it was her community service on and off the field and her gift of giving. Giving to athletics, giving to academics, and giving to Wofford College. I think an example of what a good teammate and classmate she was her senior year at the Southern Conference basketball tournament, when our men's team rolled out in shooting shirts that said Team Maggie, #KickThisVase, as Maggie was recovering from a pretty severe illness. She touched that many people. But that is not why she's going into an athletic Hall of Fame. Maggie had a very successful career as a student athlete, starting in 63 games. She was a competitor. She hated losing. She worked tirelessly to make all those around her better, and she never wanted any recognition or attention. She was named first team All-Southern Conference following her senior season, when she posted a career-high 5 assists as a defender. More importantly that season, that team set a school record and held opponents to only 11 goals scored. She's a 4-year letter winner, and more importantly, she's one of only 4 women's soccer players to ever be named to the first team, In addition to her athletics accomplishments are her academic accomplishments, which are many, many. She was twice named COSIDA All-District, and she was inducted in the Phi Beta Kappa. Maggie Bosley is the gold standard of Wofford student athletes. Please help me congratulate her and enter her into the Hall of Fame.
First of all, I just want to thank Elizabeth Rabb for everything that she did for me while I was here at Wofford. She was so instrumental in getting me to where I am today. So it was really special to have you come speak and introduce me. I also want to thank the entire Wofford Athletic Department for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's an incredible honor, and having me and my family here. I also want to congratulate the other athletes, all of these guys here, only guys, have done very awesome things when they were here at Wofford and even beyond Wofford. They've continued to excel in their sports. I know you said they don't consider what we did post-Wofford when you think about induction, but I know the committee heard about me in my intramural league game down at MUSC. I scored the game-winning goal in the men's league, and I just know that that solidified my spot. So yeah, I haven't gone on to do great things in soccer after I left Wofford, but I have carried with me a lot of really important lessons. I'm a year and a half away from finishing my general surgery residency up at Wake Forest. It's just like Grey's Anatomy, except way more rigorous and a lot less pretty people, but there's currently a 20% attrition rate in general surgery right now, meaning 20% of people, they don't finish. They switch specialties, they quit, they get fired, whatever. And so they've done tons of studies to try and figure out what's going to make a successful surgeon. How can we keep people? And they've looked at gender, race, scores, grades, all this stuff. And the only thing that they can find amongst multiple studies that predicts whether or not you'll be a successful surgeon is whether or not you are a collegiate athlete. So the grit, determination, hard work it takes to be a successful collegiate athlete are the same things it takes to be a successful surgeon. Who knew staying up for an all-nighter in Milliken and then walking straight to 6 a.m. practice would prepare me for being awake 20-something hours at a time and having to operate on somebody who gets shot in the chest or something like that. But the stakes have obviously changed for me, but it's all the same thing. It's all working hard, getting after it, being disciplined. The only thing that's changed is soccer, you're not supposed to use your hands, surgeon, yeah, I've had to get used to that part, but anyway. I just want to thank everyone again today. It is an incredible honor to be here and to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Go Terriers.
Thank you, Maggie. Very well deserved. I see that our men's basketball coach is here. He's got a pretty big game here in just a short period of time. And I know Jay doesn't do things unless there's a purpose, and I suspect he's here trying to recruit Carl for that extra year. Our next inductee, I have the pleasure of inducting him as an old basketball coach. I'm very envious that I didn't get to coach him. Carl Cochran came in as a freshman. He was not terribly big, but he was very athletic. And like a lot of freshmen, he was finding his way around college basketball. And I guess midway through his freshman year, you know, freshmen are kind of deferential to the upperclassmen. But Carl started to pick it up. And one play that I remember about Carl as a freshman, I knew he was going to be special at the Citadel. He trailed the play, a guy went in on a breakaway. And Carl just kind of lagged behind instinctively, and that guy never saw Carl, never knew where Carl was. Carl must have been 10 feet behind him. And he went up for a layup, and Carl took that thing and sent it to the sky. It was an incredibly athletic play, and I knew then that Carl was going to be special and be rewriting the Wofford history books. I could read, I'm just doing some of the highlights. His stats are just incredible. I knew he was good, I watched him play, and then I started reading about him, and I'm like, golly, he was better than I thought he was. For 4 years he started. He led us to 2 conference championships in 14 and 15. He was three-time All-Southern Conference. Played 133 games, scoring almost 1,900 points, 7th in school history. He had 226 steals, 3rd in school history. He had 659 rebounds for a guard. For a guard, he had 659 rebounds. 320 assists. That's really the remarkable thing, Carl, because you never passed the ball. You always shoot it, so I don't know how you got 320 assists. That's a remarkable statistic. He was 2nd in school history with 3-point field goals made, only because the guy who's number 1 is the leading 3-point shooter in NCAA history, Fletcher McGee. And he's 1st in field goals attempted. That's why the stat thing's kind of hard to figure out. As a senior in 2014 and 15, he was the Southern Conference Player of the Year, and it wasn't even close. He was an AP Honorable Mention All-American, Lou Henson Award finalist, NABC District 22 first team selectee. He was the only player in the country to lead his team in points per game, almost 15, rebounds per game, 6, assists per game, 2.7, steals per game, 1.8, and blocks per game, 1.0. I mean, those are incredible numbers. He's the first player in the NCAA Division I era with 1,500 points, 500 rebounds, and 250 assists. I mean, that's just a complete player, a complete athlete. As a junior, when we won our 3rd Southern Conference championship, he averaged almost 20 points a game in the Southern Conference tournament, and he had 23 in Wofford's 56-53 win over Western in the championship game. And then went on to have 17 points against the University of Michigan in the Midwest Regional in Milwaukee. The list goes on and on and on. Carl, like a lot of student athletes, came in, found his way, figured it out, became a great teammate. The intangibles that Elizabeth talked about with Maggie, Carl became a great teammate, and not only led by example with the statistics that I've just read, but also the intangibles. And he became a true team leader. And that's when you watch as a coach, and you sit back, and I had nothing to do with it, but watch the progression of Carl. It's what athletics are all about. Carl learned, he did a great job, and is truly deserving. He's one of the, in my time here, I've been here 37 years, he is one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. My lasting memory of Carl, though, will be the way he finished his career here in his last home game in Ben Johnson. It was just simply vintage Carl. Carl missed a three-pointer from the top of the key, chased it down, never had a second thought, but this one's going up. Got to the left wing, jacked it up, it went in, crowd was going nuts, we were winning. There was about 2 minutes left. Carl went back on defense. He was, I swear to God, from me to Carl away from the recipient of the intended pass. Carl intercepted it, again, instinct. Carl intercepted that thing, the only guy down there with a windmill dunk, and the crowd went berserk. Coach Young called timeout, and Carl never played the other second in Ben Johnson. But it was an incredible way to go out. I don't know that I've seen any athlete have a flurry like Carl did in those last 30 seconds of his college career. Carl is a terrific player, made a great contribution to Wofford. We're very, very proud of him. And with that, Carl, congratulations. Happy to induct you in the Wofford Hall of Fame.
From all the good in my career, well, first off, I do just want to thank the entire Wofford committee, the Hall of Fame committee, just for considering me, even though it was first ballot. I mean, it's just an honor to just be associated with this group, even because something I kind of look up to, hearing some of the guys that were Hall of Fame guys that came from Wofford basketball. So it was always, you know, long term, but it was always something that was on my list. They'll give credit to my career a lot here at Wofford, but at the same time, a lot of people didn't really know just how much adversity and coaching it was necessary for me to get there. I mean, honestly, there were a few times in my junior year, I didn't think my career at Wofford would exist anymore because I was being a bit of a bonehead. But honestly, guys like Tim Johnson, who came back and coached, guys like Shane Nichols, Darius Nichols. Darius didn't play here, but his brother did, Shane. I mean, they came back, and being a young guy, you know, everybody's, you know, being up for freshman of the year, head's a little big. It was extremely hard for me to learn how to, not necessarily be humble, but learn. Learn how to be a leader, learn how to be accountable, really learn how to set the tone for guys to kind of look up to me. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from my career is earlier this morning, I mean, there's guys in the gym who, coaches that have seen me play and that have had an opportunity to coach against me. I mean, they pull up clips and they say, be a guy like this. I mean, and those guys look up to me today. And honestly, that's better than the last moments in Benjo. It's better than everything because it means I've touched somebody in this game, which is really what it's all about. That's really all I gotta say. I do want to say thank you again for this, and this is a very special group to be a part of.
I now introduce our head men's soccer coach, Coach Joel Tyson, for our next inductee.
Sorry, guys. I think I did. So I have the lucky distinction tonight to actually get to introduce two people from the men's soccer program into the Wofford Athletics Hall of Fame. I was very fortunate to work with both these players, Connor Davis, who I'm going to speak about now, and Forrest Lasso in a minute. You know, if I could recruit now like I could then, we'd probably be in a much better spot than we were this past fall. And this might be a plight for me to kind of beg Connor or Forrest to come back here to the team. When Brent Williamson asked me to speak tonight about Connor, you know, in my mind I thought that there was no better person than myself. And I don't say that arrogantly, but I did pour an entire year of my life into recruiting Connor to come to Wofford here. And I think if my wife saw how hard I pursued Connor, she would probably be disappointed with how well I pursued her. When I think of Connor and I think of words that describe him, you know, there are a lot of words that describe anybody. Like most, though, I think you go back to moments more than anything else. You know, one of the stories that I said I wasn't going to tell was Connor's responsibility of losing a recruit to campus safety at 2 a.m., to which I had to go pick him up. But I said I wasn't going to tell that story. So, you know, what's unique about Connor's experience at Wofford is that Connor's experience here almost didn't happen. On Connor's official recruiting visit, we played the College of Charleston in a home game, and at the time, Connor was being recruited actually by us and the College of Charleston. I remember every single moment of that game, and I remember the College of Charleston beat us that day 5-1 actually. And every time Charleston scored, I would look down at the other end of the field to see if Connor was watching, hoping that he wasn't. and unfortunately it was. And I left that day thinking, well, not only did we lose the game, but we're going to lose an important player potentially in our program's history. Flash forward, a few months later, and Connor made the decision to come to Wofford. One of which, I think is a large reason why the program is in, has a good reputation among the Southeast is because of the start of what was something new with Connor and his group in his freshman year. Stats for Connor, I don't need to give you guys stats on Connor because I lived through them myself. Countless goals, countless assists, games played. I think all conference nominees, all conference awards, being on the Herman Trophy finalist list, which is basically the Heisman for men's soccer. Stats don't tell anything about Connor's experience here. From being a captain of this team here, all the selfless acts, all the camaraderie that was built, the brotherhood that was forged through his time here, none of the stats tell the story of what Connor's true experience was at Wofford. The most selfless act that I remember of Connor, two of my favorite memories here of his time here, we're playing Furman in the first round of the Southern Conference Championship in 2012, Connor's freshman year. Furman had Walker Zimmerman, who's starting for our national team. They had the Offensive Player of the Year. They had Alec Can, who's a professional goalkeeper. They have incredible players, and we had a group that was finding their way and a bunch of freshmen, and we find ourselves up 2-1 with 5 minutes to go in the game, and I've never seen a kid strike a ball so pure in my life. It wasn't Connor. He can't strike a ball very pure. But it was one of Furman's players who shot from about 20 yards out, and this ball is heading directly to the top corner. And in true Connor fashion, he jumped up and cleared the ball off the line with his head. A lot of players said that he had a big head while he was at Wofford, and I'm sure a lot would still say that he has a big head now. But that moment in time encapsulates Connor's career here at Wofford, minus the stats. The true selfless act, doing something for his team. I still think Connor's probably a little concussed from that moment, and I don't think he remembered the last part of that game. But we actually went on to win that game and play in a Southern Conference Championship, which again is a true selfless act. When I think of what a Wofford student athlete should embody, I think of someone who is committed to 3 things. They're committed to their team, they're committed to themselves, and they're committed to their academics. I can't think of a better person that embodies what a student athlete should be at Wofford College, and someone who truly embodies the experience that you get from a liberal arts education playing a competitive Division I sport. Connor, you're in the Hall of Fame now for the athletics, for the Athletic Hall of Fame, and to cap it off with what I think may be perceived as a cheesy statement, but I think it's true. I think you're in the Hall of Fame not only for myself and my personal life, as we're still friends, but you're in the Hall of Fame for our program and all that you've done to embody a Wofford men's soccer player. So congratulations on being inducted to the Wofford Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Joel. So first off, I just want to say, big thanks to everybody that made today happen. It's truly special. Big thanks to the Wofford College Hall of Fame Committee for allowing me to join such a prestigious group and play with so many great athletes and so many great athletes here today. It's truly something special. And while I'd like to admit my athletic career is not over, I think this probably closes the door. This is absolutely the best achievement of my career, and I'm forever thankful for this, and I'll cherish this forever. I do want to say a couple quick things about what Wofford means to me. Wofford was and is an extremely special place to me. It's a place that I didn't consider going to when I decided to play at the next level, as Joel alluded to earlier. But after coming on campus and seeing the facilities, meeting the staff, having an opportunity to get a feel for what the culture's like here at Wofford, and then ultimately spending time with my future teammates, I knew it was a true fit for me. But I did wrestle with the decision with it being a bit of a smaller school. But then when I was thinking this weekend and talking to my parents what this was all about, my dad reminded me of the last game of preseason my freshman year. We were at Myrtle Beach. He came up to me, and before he could even ask me how everything's going, I immediately said this was the best decision I could have ever made. It's a school that embodies everything that I love. My teammates were quickly becoming some of my best friends, and we were having a bit of success, and I knew we were going to do well moving forward. And then fast forward 4 years later, we're walking off campus, reflecting on our time here, and I knew I had made the right decision. This is the best place I could have possibly decided to go to. And then with that, of course, representing the black and gold, having the successes we did, most importantly, beating Furman multiple times, like we hope to see tonight. That only validated my decision to come to Wofford. And then, as I mentioned to Brent when he was asking for my nomination quote, kind of the most important thing to me about Wofford and what this school did for me is they gave me a chance to chase my dream. A chance to be a collegiate athlete, a chance to get a great education, and then ultimately build lifelong friendships and memories with some of my best friends that are still here today. Love you guys. Thank you for still supporting me. Big Trev. Appreciate the shout outs. But yeah, that's what it's all about. And so with that, I just want to say, big thanks to Richard Johnson, Luke Feisel, Coach Polson. I don't think Riley and Zach are here, but they kept me healthy as best they could for 4 years. Coach Polson, my good friend and Coach Joel Tyson, my partner in crime, Big Kev. Thank you for getting me through this, gentlemen. It was truly a special time. And then to my fiance, a Wofford College 2017, I don't know where she is yet, 2017 cheerleader. Thank you for keeping me humble. Thank you for asking me why we didn't score more goals or stand by the goal and score, to which I had to teach her off sides. I appreciate you always keeping me grounded. And then to my family, you all gave me the chance to do something that I always dreamed of. You all are the best support group and helped me achieve more than I ever thought I could. And so with all that, I just want to say how proud I am to be a Wofford Terrier. As we said to so many recruits on campus, this is truly a special place. So thankful I got a chance to go here. And I look forward to representing and speaking highly about this college moving forward. So here's the family and friends who did it. The Terriers.
Very well said. Coach Rob Ray, our men's tennis coach, is going to induct our next inductee, who is just in from Italy. Coach Ray.
Thank you. Rob Galloway, three-time all-conference. That's happened in men's tennis one time in our 25-year history of being in the Southern Conference. Rob's currently playing professional tennis, where in the last 3 years he's been ranked anywhere between 80 and 125 in the world, between 80 and 125 in the world, in the second most popular sport in the world. Played in 3 U.S. Opens, where he's played against the best players in the world. I can remember us going to a nearby Power 5 school, and Rob wins, beats their best player and partner in doubles, and then beats their best player at #1 in singles, one-on-one. Power 5 school that's known for recruiting and having the best players in the world. And Rob did that. Great teammate, loves Wofford. Had a great academic experience, lots of friends. But when I explain Rob's story to tennis experts, to other well-known coaches, maybe people who coach other professionals. When I explain Rob's story to them, they pause and they say things like, "You gotta be kidding me. You're not telling the truth, but I know you couldn't make this up. There's no way." 1,000 people are recruited to play Division I college tennis each year. I've been doing this just over 20 years, 20,000 people. I've never heard of a story like Rob Galloway's story. I'm thinking back to 2009. I'm running a camp, and I'm pretty ingrained, pretty in touch with junior tennis. And this kid's name is signed up for my camp. And I'm like, I remember this name. I think he was a pretty good 12 and under player. So I look him up. There isn't anything. There's nothing. There's nothing. He was a good 12 and under player. Most of the kids that go on to play college tennis at this level play 20 tournaments a year, 15 to 20 tournaments a year. That's 100. That's about 100 matches a year. From the time Rob was 14 to 18, he played 5 junior tournaments. That's incredible. He came and played here and beat the best player from a Power 5 school while he was in college tennis. His peers, his current peers are people like NCAA doubles champion, Olympic gold medalist, numerous professional titles, like numerous, incredible. It doesn't happen. Rob had none of those experiences I talked about, all those junior tennis experiences, but he had an unbelievable sense of drive, determination, purpose, competitive spirit, like people like Tom Brady, Rafa Nadal, Michael Jordan, names that would come to mind. Rob always thought, and still thinks, because the best is yet to come, that he's going to win. He always thought he was going to win. What a lesson to us all. He no matter who he's playing, he knows he's going to win. Like Tom Brady, like those other professional athletes, and just I remember calling Rob's junior coach, who's here today, Rob Thompson, and saying, "I think I'm going to offer Rob Galloway." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to offer Rob Galloway." And he said, "I think that's a great idea." And we talked about it, and we did it, and it happened. But I had no idea. Had no idea. You couldn't have, like I said before, you can't make up Rob's story. Drive, determination, resiliency, competitive spirit, always believe that you're going to win. A great terrier, a great terrier. Loves Wofford. Still cheers for us. A great friend that way. Super competitor. What a privilege to be here with you all and to help induct Rob into the Hall of Fame. Thank you.
I wrote down a few things. I'm not much of a public speaker, plus I'm a little jet lagged from Italy, so bear with me, it'll be brief. Basically just want to thank a couple people. We'll start off by thanking Coach Johnson, Coach Line, who's not here, Elizabeth Rabb, and everyone on the athletics staff that helped me out along the way. My coach, Rob Thompson, he's been my coach since I was 10 years old. He's still my coach today as I play on the tour, so he's family at this point. My family and my fiance, who I also met here, like Connor. I met my fiance, who was also a great basketball player here, so not a day goes by where I don't think about Wofford and everything it's done for me. I'd like to thank my teammates. Practice and everything wasn't always easy, but we kind of got into it sometimes. That's the nature of tennis, but we push each other each day. I also want to give a shout out to my teammate and doubles partner, Walker Heffron. He handled the tragic situation better than anyone ever could, and I think about him every day. Sorry. And then lastly, Coach Ray. I mean, I might get emotional talking about Coach Ray. We butted heads a lot at school. My first year, I got kicked out of practice for an under-the-breath comment, and also sprained my ankle playing intramural football, so we've come a long way. But over the years, our friendship and trust has come so far. We talk on the phone once or twice a week. There isn't a more caring, honest, hardworking man in college tennis, and I sincerely mean that. I've met coaches all over the country, all over the world, and I truly mean that. You gave me confidence to pursue my dream, playing professional tennis, and even here at Wofford. And yeah, congrats all the other inductees, and thank you guys so much.
Very well said, Rob. Thank you very much. Our next honoree, Forrest Lasso, made up some flimsy excuse of having to go on a honeymoon. So in his absence, we'll bring Joel Tyson back up to say a few words about Forrest.
So, yeah, Forrest, as Coach Johnson said, Forrest can't be here tonight, and for those of you guys who have Instagram, you probably know that already. For those of you who, whether you're a student athlete or an administrator that was here during Forrest's time, you know, Forrest epitomized the "it takes a village to raise a man" mantra. And I say that because, you know, Forrest's time here was not a clean slate, so to speak. You know, I think Forrest used college, like a lot of people do, to find out who they were. And Forrest's time here, you know, also played with Connor for 4 years. You know, their time here, they had, I want to say they had the most wins in Division I history for a men's soccer program over the course of a 4-year period. And that all started with the culmination of, you know, players like Forrest and Connor playing together. Forrest's talent as a player is undeniable. 6'6", athletic, unbelievable in the air, unbelievable left foot, extremely handsome as a person. There's no denying how talented Forrest is. The most unbelievably competitive person that I've ever seen, and someone who would stop at nothing to try and do whatever it took to win for the team. Forrest, apart from being an unbelievable human being, has a passion for life and is someone that, even now, as I watch him continue to grow as a person, you can see all the ways that he's improved and grown as a man. Freshman year for Forrest didn't go as exactly as planned. He got in a little bit of trouble, and I don't mean to make this seem like Forrest was a bad egg whatsoever. But Forrest and I began to galvanize our relationship together midway through the start of January term his freshman year. Forrest got himself into trouble, and Coach Polson and I were putting our heads together on how are we going to make this stick and how are we going to get him to get him back on the right track. Forrest volunteered to wake up with me every day of the week at 6 a.m. to start doing voluntary 6 a.m. workouts. From that, I started to learn about Forrest as an 18-year-old boy and have conversations with him, grow with him, and I think between the two of us, I think I probably grew up a little bit more than he did at the time, but I think that was the start of Forrest becoming accountable for his own actions and taking on you know, everything that he could to encompass being a student athlete here. Flash forward 4 years, Forrest is a first-team all-conference player. He's one of only 2 All-Americans to come out of the men's soccer program here, inducted in 2015. A lot of college athletes have their playing career ended as soon as they graduate, and Forrest is one of the rare few where, you know, he's a professional soccer player now and continues to play. And I want to say he's the first men's soccer player in Wofford history that is signed in the European top flight. You know, he just wrapped up his last year in the USL, and he's moving to Sweden next week to begin his pro journey in the Swedish top flight called the Allsvenskan. For those of you guys who will be Googling it later, I can give you a spell check later. But we're really proud of Forrest and all of his accomplishments here. He is someone that I hold dear to me for a lot of reasons. The most full circle moment that I've ever had in my coaching career happened with Forrest Lasso, and I'll wrap up with this. As a college coach, I watched Forrest score numerous headers. At 6'6" and an unbelievable ability to get above people, he had an uncanny ability to score goals off set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks, etc. I watched him do it probably 20 to 30 times at the college level. Flash forward to having an opportunity to coach in the professional world. We're prepared for a game against FC Cincinnati, and Forrest Lasso is starting across from our team. And I'm giving a team talk to our pro players that we're preparing to play about who they have to be responsible for on a corner kick. And I'm talking about Forrest Lasso as if he's this larger-than-life figure. And it's a full circle moment for me. A lot of bad because we go to the game, there's 35,000 people in this stadium at FC Cincinnati, and who scores the first goal but Forrest Lasso against his old coach? And 35,000 people come to their feet, and it all comes from him. And I think that, for me, it's the most full circle moment to see this player come from a 17-year-old as we recruited to, now this big-time pro player who's doing exceptional things. And couldn't be more proud of him as an individual for his growth, and couldn't be more proud of him for what he's brought to this program in terms of being an unbelievable teammate and someone from the brotherhood. So thank you, Forrest.
Hey guys, unfortunately the ceremony fell on the same weekend as my honeymoon, which is why I cannot be there in person. But it doesn't take away how special of an honor this is and how much Wofford means to me. I first want to start off by thanking my parents and my siblings, Cohen, Sarah Grace, Sutton, and Manning, for believing in me and supporting me these past 28 years as I've chased a dream of mine. I also want to give a massive shout out to Coach Barry Slagle, Coach Joel Tyson, and Coach Ralph Polson for recruiting me in high school, for showing me the beauty of Wofford's campus, and your unconditional support and guidance as I matured and grew as a player and man. I no doubt made decisions and choices on campus when I was in school that may have not been the best, but like I said, your unconditional support and guidance has allowed me to grow into the person, player, sibling, son, husband, and friend I am today. I also want to give a massive shout out and thank you to my teammates during my 4 years at Wofford. The groups we had during those 4 years were one like no other. It was a true family, and it's something I will hold near and dear to my heart for the rest of my life. Being a Wofford Terrier is one of the proudest accomplishments of mine, and I have to give a massive shout out to everyone who supported me and brought me to campus. Being able to stand here in front of you today and accept a Hall of Fame honor is something I never dreamed of. Growing up, playing collegiate soccer was all I wanted, and Wofford gave me that opportunity. So now to be here standing in front of you accepting this is something I will cherish the rest of my life. I've said this many a times, and I'll say a couple more. Once a pup, always a pup. Go Terriers.
Forrest went for the authenticity with the boat in the background, in case we didn't believe it. We actually have our last inductee now, and we picked the order purely alphabetically. But if we weren't going to do it alphabetically, I'd put Matt last because Todd's going to talk too long talking about Matt. I know that much because that's how much Matt meant to Todd. So with that, I introduce our head baseball coach, Coach Todd Aaron.
First of all, I want to say this is an incredible Hall of Fame class. Just an incredible class. I know I don't have many individual interactions with you guys, but watch you guys play all the way through. And just, Matt, I know you're honored to be a part of this because this is just as good as it gets. And just a great example of what Wofford College athletics can be, so congratulations to everybody. But now I get to talk about my favorite inductee of them. The best thing to say about Matt, and the easiest thing to say about Matthew, is he's the best. And people, what do you mean he's the best? He's the best everything. He was the best pitcher. He was the best teammate. He was the best friend. He was the best camp worker. He was the most prepared, the most competitive, the most selfless, the most resilient. He's just the best. And I could stop right there, but I wouldn't be doing it justice by just saying he's the best, because that's too easy. When you get to these points, you always think about how it starts. You know, you hear a lot of stories about camps and so forth, and ironically, about 10 years to the day is when Matt came on campus for the first time. And he comes to a winter prospect camp that we're actually hosting today, and pitchers have a way of making things unbelievably complicated. Pitching coaches make things more complicated than they're supposed to be. Pitchers make things more complicated than they're supposed to be. It's why when a pitcher is a good teammate, it's such an odd thing, because it's just not that complicated as pitchers make it. But we're doing some video reviewing in our locker room, and our pitching coach at the time, Jason Burke, who has a huge hand in developing Matthew, is going through some mechanical, quote-unquote, flaws that he has. And Jason's going through in his thick southern accent, explaining to Matthew that he's got this inverted W, otherwise known as an M. Again, making it way more complicated than it needs to be. And as our pitching coach is making this incredibly complicated, I'm watching this kid, I'm going, this guy's good. We gotta recruit this guy. And without missing a beat, a senior in high school, Matthew looks at our pitching coach and goes, yeah, man, no problem, I'll clean that up. And I'm like, you mean to tell me a high school pitcher can simplify this whole process? Yeah, this is the guy we want. Flew in from California, was here. That was his senior year in high school. And if you know anything about recruiting, that is exceptionally late in our sport. So going from being recruited exceptionally late to here is just an incredible journey. A couple stories that I would like to share. The value of a player, a lot is how good they can be and how well they can develop and the peak that they can reach. But also from a coaching standpoint, it's how much value you get out of them during their entire career. And we're opening up his freshman year, and we have Georgetown at home. And I remember having a conversation with Matthew going, hey man, if we can get you a nice soft landing and get you in the game, soft landing means up a lot, down a lot, no pressure situation. We get you a soft landing, that would be our ideal situation. Yeah, sure coach, sounds great. Fast forward, we're up 5-1, we put in a senior, and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Walk, hit by pitch, double, hit by pitch, walk, and the next thing you know, we are bringing Matthew into the game, bases loaded, 2 outs in a tie game. The exact opposite of a soft landing for a first-year freshman. Matthew gets us out of it, pitches another 3 scoreless innings, and we walk him off in 11 against Georgetown at home. Goes through that, turns into our Friday night starter, and our program starts to turn, and our program starts to flip, and Matthew has as much impact on that as anybody in our program's history. In 2015, we were fortunate enough to set a school record for wins with 39. When I started reflecting and thinking about that team, this is the talent that Matthew was surrounded by. There was a 7th rounder, a 6th rounder, who's sitting up there right now, a 4th rounder, a 32nd rounder, and a free agent signing. And they all followed him. That is the impact that this young man had. We go to the tournament in 2015 after Matthew starts 8-0. We get a rain-shortened game on the opening round of the tournament. We bring him back on short rest. We're in a loser's bracket game, elimination game. We're playing Sanford, who is at the time the class of the league. And we throw Matthew. We have to beat them twice. And we throw Matthew, and we win the first game, and then they absolutely obliterate us in game 2 and end our season. And I asked their coach, as a friend of mine, I said, why didn't you throw your ace in game 1? That would have made the most sense. And he goes, oh, you're throwing Milburn. We ain't beating that guy. It was just so obvious to everybody, not only internally but externally, how special he was. From 2012 in camp, and there is no way we get through this without being emotional. In 2016, some scouts are starting to call. They're asking about Will. They're asking about a bunch of other guys, and a couple guys are asking about Matthew. And in the back of my head, I'm going, man, I've seen this movie before. I've seen guys call and ask and beat around the bush and ask about this and pretend they're interested, and then draft day comes and nothing. I've seen this movie before, and I am not going to be able to handle this happening to this young man. But it didn't. And I'm sitting in my living room, young kids, and right about the time his name comes up on the draft board, his number comes on my phone, and I don't think either of us said a word. It was just full of emotion, full circle, and it was just all the hard work, all the dedication, all the success, just an unbelievable moment. And great things happen to great people. And you just think about camp of 2012, draft in 2016, Hall of Fame in January of 2020. There is no such thing as a perfect player, but God, you're as close as it gets, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you, T.I., for all the great stories of my time at Wofford. He did forget to mention two things that he still owes me to this day, and that is, number one, an official visit to Wofford College, and two, an at-bat in the game. He still owes me those two things to this day, so maybe we can accomplish those things before my season gets started this year. I first want to say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for letting me be a part of this group and of all the men and women, past and present. It's just an amazing group to be with. Speaking of amazing women, my wife, Charlie over there, this is her first time on campus, and she did get the wonderful gift of meeting all my teammates at our wedding for the first time. So that was a lot of fun and a good first introduction for her to the Wofford family. But that's how it goes with all these guys sitting here today. Thank you guys for coming. And, when we get together, it's always like we're just back here on campus cracking jokes, and just like we're back in Burwell, in our table that everyone knows about. It's the old baseball table. These guys are my best friends, and I just want to thank them for being here today and all the memories we made together. I really do appreciate it, guys. And like T.I. was alluding to, how I ended up here at Wofford is what I like to call save the best for last. So in my long recruiting process, Wofford was the only school that gave me an offer from a Division I level, and it was the last school I visited to. And I remember my dad took me on the visit to Wofford to the camp that T.I. was talking about. And my dad took me everywhere in college. He took me to California, Pennsylvania, New York, and everywhere in between to try to find a home for me. And I remember that camp, my dad telling me this story a couple of years after I graduated, that he was sitting up there, I think it was 30 degrees. We're just struggling up there. And my dad was just sitting there hoping I did well. And I remember old Luke Feisel over there was catching me. And he told me, he gave me some advice, and it's helped me to this day. I remember my dad was just sitting up there, and he said he was just praying that this would be the home for me. And it turns out it was. Because a couple weeks later, I made my decision that I wanted to be a terrier, and he went to his closet, and he pulled out a box of Wofford here. He said, I already knew you were going there. Now going to Wofford, living in South Carolina, and getting the opportunity to play Division I baseball brought me so much joy, but with that joy came some sorrow along the way. The worst news I ever received in my life happened right up that hill in Phase 5. It was November 15, 2015, my senior year, and I got a phone call in the middle of the night from my parents. And my beautiful sister sitting right over there got in a car accident and would never be able to walk again. And when I was gone and I returned to campus, I felt nothing but love from the Wofford community. For me, my sister, and my entire family. My teammates, coaches, professors, support staff, and everyone else in between helped me and helped our family along the way in those dark times. I do want to thank Coach I and Coach Jason Burke for both just taking a chance on me. That's all I wanted was a chance, and you guys gave that to me. You both believed in me, and you invested both your time and energy into me becoming the best version of myself. And you helped me navigate the world of college athletics to be both a leader on the field and in the classroom. And that's really what coaching is all about. So I do appreciate that. And to my parents, people that work so hard and sacrifice so much for me to be standing up here and for me to currently be living my childhood dream of being a professional baseball player. I couldn't be more grateful and appreciative for you too. And lastly, all these opportunities would not be possible without my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He saved me, and I give the glory to him every day, and for every day the rest of my time on earth. Thank you again, and go Terriers.
The wonderful story, the most amazing thing in that story is you're in the Hall of Fame and Faisal caught you. I don't think he caught anyone. We get to the part now where we have our special recognition awards. And to give our first award is actually the president of the Terrier Club, who also chairs the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. And while we don't give Hall of Fame awards for Terrier Club presidents, this one is the best we've ever had. Jeff Sarvis has gone above and beyond. He has extended his term because Luke and I have begged him to do so. He should have been off a couple of years ago, but we couldn't bear to part with him because Jeff has done so much for Wofford, for the Terrier Club, and for our student athletes for the past 5 years. So with that, I introduce the chair of the Hall of Fame Committee, president of the Terrier Club, Jeff Sarvis, to do a special honorary Letterman Award for Ms. Mary Ann Phillips. Jeff?
You know, Todd, your emotions, as far as I'm concerned, must have walked away. And when God's finished with me, he brings me back. I'll go be a baseball player for you. For me, it's incredibly special to be here and to introduce somebody that means a lot, not to every student athlete, to every student, to every alumni. Face is well known, but for me, even personal, because this person actually was everything that you talk about of anybody supporting. She watched me play as a player. So I know her as a person, I know her as an alumni, I know her as a faithful, loyal Wofford supporter. But as a player, I got to know her, and I can't think of anybody that was always positive. I don't know of anybody that, I've never heard a negative word about this person. Everyone speaks highly of this person. I've been to her home. She brings in players to her home even when I played. Got to know her family, her children, of course, their whole Wofford family, and there's Wofford up and down through grandchildren. But I watched her treat every single person like I was her son. And as a player, like most kids and some of you guys when you came, when I came, I mean, you know, I was a small kid from a small school and basically and come up here and learning my way around Wofford. But I remember, you know, when I'm in her home, how she treated me like her son. And then, you know, I'd have a game and I'd get a note in the mail from the Phelpses that said, you know, great game. We appreciate you being at Wofford, things like that. And these are people that, you know, I really didn't know that well as I got here. But, you know, as time progressed, you know, God has a plan for everybody in life. I know her from my days at Wofford. Well, when all the days at Wofford are over, I go in the business world like most people, and Well, I ended up working with her husband, who everyone knows, W.P. Phillips. Incredible, awesome man himself. It's part of the reason we always say he's like E.F. Hutton. For young kids may not know something that, but, there was a commercial one time that said, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. Well, that was Mr. Phillips. But I also watched them in corporate America. I watched her as a wife and how her leadership, how supporting your spouse was so important. I watched her interact with her children and her kids. And I don't know that we couldn't have anybody that embodies or emboldens the Wofford tradition and the Wofford way any more than this person. I mean, just an incredible lady, a Southern Belle. I can go on and on and on, but things you did in your life and support that you give guys like me at Wofford and other athletes and other students, you make us better people. And I, for one, because I do know you, I can honestly say you've made me a better person. Made me a better husband, better father. And you know what, I admire you, and I've tried my best not to use her name because I've got to say Mary Ann Phillips. Truly, no one is more deserving an honorary Lebanon than Mary Ann Phillips. But to me, you're going to always be Miss Phillips. Nobody deserves this honor more than you, Miss Phillips. Nobody deserves to be up here. Nobody deserves this podium any more than you do. We are so grateful for all the things you've done for Wofford College. We appreciate you. So, with that said, Miss Phillips, honorary Lebanon.
He's from Florence, and I'm from Florence. That should be the key right there. Is that right? Okay. I was afraid not to write some of my notes down, and I got pages. I asked my children, because so many memories kept popping up about this wonderful college. And I can't help but think one time I asked Dan Malsby, I said, what's the difference in a college and a university? Because I love our college. I don't know that we ever came up with a definitive answer, but Wofford College is the best. My husband, Bill, finished here in '55. And he loved this school so much, which made me love it equally so. I'm so proud of what y'all have done. I can't believe this. I said, like when y'all called me, I said, I think I'm dreaming. And the next day I called, I think maybe Luke or somebody, I called, was it true? Was I dreaming? Did I really think? But y'all said, no, it's the truth. You are an honorary Wofford Lebanon. My Bill, and some of you might remember him, I don't know, but I called him Flip, so if I happen to say Flip, it's not the dog, it's my Bill. He was a proud scholarship recipient, like most of you, and I can't believe all of you were incredible, and I actually saw some of you play. I did, because I came to the game. And y'all, where in the world will you go to a baseball stadium and sit in a rocking chair while you watch the game? And that's one thing we have that makes Wofford very different and special. But my Bill, I'm trying to say it right, he battled polio the summer after his senior year in high school. So he was on crutches most of his freshman year at Wofford. Y'all seen him trying to go up and down the steps of Old Main on those crutches, they tell me. He tried to play his sophomore year, but his muscles just wouldn't cooperate. But he loved Wofford, and he participated in everything that he could, and made some wonderful, lasting friends at Wofford. And for that I'm grateful, because they're my friends now, too. Our three children, I think we've made this known, but I proudly say this. Sean finished in 1980 with a letter in football. And Ashley finished in 85 with a letter in soccer. Now Kelly played no sport, but she finished in 91 Phi Beta Kappa. Our youngest grandchild, Kathleen, she's here too. She's Kelly's youngest. She's here at Wofford and will finish in 23. God, these years, I can't believe it. She's on the dance team, so at least that gets me over here for a lot of things. And Kelly too. Ashley's Perry and his wife Anna both finished in 2014, so some of you might remember them. And Molly Reese, Ashley's daughter, finished in 2016. And then Kelly's Hannah finished in 2020, but she was in that class, and I have to write this down. They actually walked in October of 2021, so they found that the joy in doing that. I remember back in the days of President Joe was saying, and Ruth, they're still some of Wofford's strongest, most verbal supporters. I think Ruth and I both get really upset over some of the games. Some of them, most of them are happy. Every once in a while we end almost with tears running down our face. Then Bernie and Ann Dunlap were here for some wonderful years. They were really good for us. And then I can't ever forget, after Bernie left, we were here for, I'm trying to think, it was a Gardner Webb game. And y'all, it was pouring rain. I'm not just rain, it was cats and dogs. And we tried to stay dry under the tent we had. We actually bought a tent for that game. And there was Dr. Sandhat walking all around in the rain with an umbrella, welcoming, letting everybody know how glad he was that we were there. I thought, this man is going to be good for our college, and he has been, and is. We finally gave up trying to stay dry under the tent, so we ended up sitting at the, y'all call it the Benjamin Johnson Arena. There's an overhang there in case you get a game that's right. You can slip up under there. And we could, thanks to maybe the Gibbs, Marsha and Jimmy Gibbs, we could see the big screen and watch the game from there. I think Perry and Luke ended up taking our tent, just picking it up and put it down at the end of the field and watch the rest of the game then. And also, I want to make sure I said this because this was a very effective thought about Dr. Sandhat. But also this year, when we were sitting on what Woody Willett named the Gracie Knoll, might not be the right name for it, but we were sitting there on the Gracie Knoll. And Dr. Sandhat was walking around and he stopped and spoke to some of us there. And a young man who had finished at Carolina, University of South Carolina, walked by, was with us, and Dr. Sandhat spoke to him. After he walked on, this young man said, this would never happen at Carolina. There's just not that much connection between the students and the professors, the president, and your coaches. It's a unique situation, so I hope you will spread the word how great this college is. I remember, and I'm not talking too long, like I said, y'all would believe all the thoughts and memories that came back. Back in the days of the old stadium, and I think what we put, trying to think what we call it now. If I look at my notes now, Snyder Field. But see, he was coaching at our point in time there. But anyway, Snyder Field, Christine Hampton and Jay and I were sitting there. And I remember Christine getting up and hollering, "Go Dogs!" And she taught me how to say that. So y'all have probably heard me say that at these basketball games. I know the people in front of me have heard me say it. I am no lady at a basketball game, at a football game, any game. I'm enthusiastic. I got to cheer for you cheerers. And I'm so impressed by y'all. Listen, and me getting up and telling you how off the field, I do what I do. I've never been on a field or on a court. But I appreciate the efforts. And I know it takes a lot to be in shape and do what you do. Right now, I want y'all to kind of look around you like I said, Ashley played volleyball in Andrews Fieldhouse. Do y'all know where Andrews Fieldhouse is? That's where Ashley played volleyball. Look where she could have played. And the basketball. I mean, all of this is so incredible that you are part of this Wofford community. And this is what we've got. We've got a community of people who love each other. We thank everybody, like Rosalind and Jerry Richardson, the Gibbs, the list goes on and on and on. And the other day at the, I guess it was the day maybe the last game, but I saw Mike Harris standing there, you know. People like this, we don't let them go. And they aren't going to let them of us either. And also, you tennis people, tennis, I forget who did one anyway. The Reeves Complex. And y'all know my maiden name is Reeves. I don't think we're kin. But I wish. Anyway, but I remember meeting Ed Reeves when all this was being developed for the cottage. And it's wonderful. I'm just so proud of what we have. I want you to know that I thank all of you, the faculty, the administration, the coaches, every office support staff, the people who maintain this campus and make it look so beautiful. I mean, think about driving in now and what it used to look like when you drove in, chairs, Sean, whatever. What it used to look like when you're driving in, it's awesome, the beauty of it. And this is yours forever. Don't let it go. I don't really know if I will receive the letter. Because like I said, he never actually got in a game. But Bill Dickens, who was coaching at that point in time, I think he thought that Bill needed or deserved a letter. So I feel like I can accept this. Like I said, I can't play anything or do anything, but I can accept it in his honor and his memory. So keep it up, y'all. Keep walking what it is.
Thank you, Marianne. Very, very nice remarks. I appreciate that. So for to conclude, our last award is the Distinguished Service Award. We try to match the person doing the inducting with the department or with the sport. And in this case, we have Converse Draper, who is incredibly deserving of our Distinguished Service Award. And our Vice President for Business and Chief Financial Officer, Chris Gardner, was going to present. Chris is quarantined with COVID. So then we called on our Senior Vice President, David Beecham, to present, Secretary of the Board. David is quarantined with COVID. Converse, you stuck with me, man. I'm sorry. But I will tell you, I'm glad that they're quarantined because our next recipient embodies service. Converse Draper, I don't know where to begin. I'm going to use part of what Chris has prepared and part of my own. But this guy, when you called on Converse Draper and his utility crew, no matter what it was, no matter when you needed it, this guy got it done. And he did it with a smile on his face. We're very, very proud to have you as our 2020 Distinguished Service Award recipient, Converse. Converse joined Wofford in '94 as a member of the utility crew, and in 2004 was promoted to supervisor. He retired in 20, but has remained a valuable member of the community since. As I said, for 26 years, Converse was on speed dial. Anything you needed, anything you forgot, anything, this event, let's say we forgot we needed set up Friday afternoon, we'd call Converse, Converse would come, Converse would get it done, and he would get it done right. Football games, basketball games, Panther training camp, the things he did to make the Panther training camp work smoothly. You have no idea the amount of effort it takes to go into the Panther training camp. Guys like Converse and his crew made it happen. We get the credit, the guys doing all the work for Converse and his crew. Family weekends, commencement, any event that happens, Converse does it. Anything in the life of the college, it was Converse for 27 years. What a great employee he has been. Chris has talked about he never saw Converse without a smile on his face. He said, I really believe, Chris said he believes people called Converse's crew to help for things they didn't really need help because they just wanted to see Converse because they knew he'd show up with a smile on his face. Chris, now this is from Chris. He says, some of my favorite memories involve the annual facilities Christmas party events. And he said, for those who haven't had the good fortune to attend these parties, our facilities teams have a long-standing tradition of singing Christmas carols. And one carol in particular is always memorable, as the members of the facility staff break into groups and sing their way through the 12 days of Christmas. He says, as long as I've been attending these parties, Converse has been front and center of the group, singing his line, "And a partridge in a pear tree." Maybe you'll do that when you come up and accept. You could maybe do that for us. And I think he said, Chris's comment, I'm so grateful to attend our most recent Christmas party. It was the first since Converse's retirement, and there, proudly leading Group 1, was Converse Draper. So, Converse, personally, I can't tell you how much you mean to me and to all of our student athletes and all the work you did for them. You deserve to enjoy your retirement. Converse told me earlier, he said, you know, I'm not much for speaking, and that's true. He's best at working, and he's best at smiling. And I told him, I said, Converse, you don't have to do a thing up here. All you got to do is let people say nice things about you, which you richly deserve. Our Distinguished Service Award winner for 2020, Converse Draper.
Well, I'm a shy person, and first I'd like to thank my Lord Savior Jesus Christ for me being up here. And I got, you know, a lot of people to thank. And one person I'd like to thank, the late Curtis, James C. Curtis Anderson. And it ain't been for him, I wouldn't have been here. So. I'd like to, you know, thank Dr. Lassane, President Dunlap, and Mr. Samhat and his wife, and Richard Johnson. Every time I meet him, he always got to say something, you know. I don't know if it's good or bad. He say something. So, like I said, and Chris, you know, I know he ain't here today, and David Beecher. I love them, I thank them, and I like to, you know, just, and my co-workers, you know, like Darryl Maven, Rashard Twitty, and I like to thank them, and John Blair, and if it been for them, I don't know what I would be. And I'd like to thank Jeff Burney, Donna, she's somewhere around, and, you know, just a lot of people. And I'd like to thank my wife for almost 35 years, my daughter, my son-in-law, my granddaughter, being here. And like I said, Walker, I just love you and thank you very much.